Hey there everybody. I got some plants left over from the farmer's market. This one is a jelly bean tomato and it is pretty leggy. And have a little bit of leaf curl on this beefsteak here. But there's nothing wrong with these plants. I just didn't feel right selling them at the farmer's market. So I'm going to be giving them to a friend of mine. I have a few plants left over, as you can see here. And I want to give them to a good home. My friend, he just moved into a house from an apartment. Last year I gave him an upside down tomato planter and him and his kids liked it a lot. This year I'm going to go and build him a couple raised beds and start his garden for him. I have some fence posts, some cedar fence posts that I'm going to be using, along with a few 2x4s. And I had these around the house in my scrap wood pile. They didn't cost me anything. Gonna spend a little bit of money on the screws, but other than that, this is gonna be pretty cheap for me to go over and help him out, start his garden, and maybe give him a new hobby to start up, along with giving him his kids some education. So let's get started with the build. Alright, so this planter is a very easy build. All I'm doing is tossing a little bit of wood on the 2x4s and then tossing in some screws. Let's do the other one. So remember, you don't have to worry about being too squared on these things. I only expect these to last maybe 2 or 3 years before they need to be thrown away anyhow. So square them up the best you can just by eyeball. And for the ends, you want to put the ends on so they're not quite overlapping. Oop, just dropped one. Square that up the best I can. Alrighty. Starting to look like a box. Alright, so I have one raised bed. Now if you're curious, this is 2 feet by 4 feet. There's plenty to put several plants into. Let's go ahead and build the other one. Alright, so I got the 2 planter boxes done. Last thing I'm going to do is hook up a little trellis here. So we're going to come down. I'm going to bend this thing. Hopefully the side doesn't pop out on this. And we're going to have a little trellis on this. And this is going to be for like cucumbers or whatever. It's a little lopsided because of these. This is going to come up. But right now, put that a little bit better. I'm just going to add a little line here. So that way I can tighten it up. And it won't bow out the middle. Dirt will do a good job bowing it out just a tiny bit, but I don't need the extra force of this string on it, so we're just going to tie this on. A little half loop in there. Now we got a nice little trellis for cucumbers or peas or whatever, and we're pretty much all set. Now all I got to do is mix up some dirt and go deliver it. Alright, so I'm over here at Ryan's house, and he has this nice area on the south side of his house that has nothing but grass here. He's got good sun that comes all the way across. So we're going to put a garden right here. We're going to build it from scratch. So let's get to it.
Good.
Grab these. So what we're going to do first, we're going to lay down some of this fabric barrier, weed barrier. Do a double layer for you. Go ahead and grab the end there. All the way to the end. Too far, just in line with the stick there. Going close to the wall, and then up the wall just in here. Alrighty. Now if you get a kid that accidentally bumps into it, you're not gonna mess it all up. Awesome. All right, so what we're doing here is I got a bunch of old alder. We're gonna put alder into the box, sort of a huviculture. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna fill some of the raised bed, so that way we don't have to rely on filling the dirt all the way, but the roots of the plants can still get through here. So this is going to take up a little bit of space at the bottom of the raised beds, and we're going to be able to fill these with soil but not use as much soil, so just toss those in there. Time to add some mulch. Let's get some more. Okay, I need you to come and stomp on it now. Just like walking on carpet. Alright, so I brought you some different types of soil here. This is just some clay mixed in with some regular garden soil. This is going to be our base layer in there. Then I have a whole bunch of compost. This is homemade compost, it has some eggshells in it. Once we get deep enough, you'll find a whole bunch of worms down here, just happy. And then some potting mix. So I'll probably mix in the potting mix and this to make this nice and fluffy, and then put a top coat of compost into it.
Okay.
All right. All kinds of worms in here. Good thing I'm not going fishing today. So as you grow your garden, you can add new potting soil in here and basically just keep it growing. Everything's going to settle and go down lower. Then you just add more compost or more potting soil.
Okay.
Put some stuff in here.
Okay.
Flip it around. I'll grab you some plants.
Nice.
So as you can see, I'm a little bit off over here in the corner. So I'm just going to lift up, shove some mulch under there. We should be good. All right, plant time. Let's start off with some cucumbers. Now, like I said, my plants, I just couldn't sell them at the farmer's market. They were getting a little big on me. That one already has a cucumber on it. So that's sort of crazy, and it's just in a little 4-inch pot.
Wow. Those make big pickles.
Yes, indeed. So, I'll dig away a little bit. If you want to hand me another cucumber. I'm going to teach it the trellis a little bit. Now these are going to be sort of packed in. Root balls are really tight. Alrighty. And let's go for some tomatoes.
So is that this guy?
Well, which one is that? Go ahead and pull that one up.
Tomato jelly bean.
Jelly bean. Alright, so this is a jelly bean tomato. Very viney. I call it garden candy.
Yeah.
Because when you come out to the garden, you just start picking them off. They're about this big, just tiny jelly bean sized tomatoes. So let's come over, put together a little trellis. We're going to do the jelly bean over here. We're going to put her way in the back. So this one's going to go all the way up the wall. All right, so we have a trellis for our jelly bean. And here's our jelly bean. So with tomatoes, you can actually bury them all the way up.
Okay.
Because each one of these little hairs here is another root.
Oh.
This one's really not root bound. And what we're going to do is when this thing grows, we're going to sort of feed it over and let it go up your trellis.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, next one. Another tomato. Let's go with a couple beefsteaks. So your beefsteaks, I'm going to put them here and here. These are also viney tomatoes. Can you go ahead and grab my other trellis that I made over here?
Yes.
So with your beefsteaks, you are going to need to prune these and trim these because these are also viney. So what we do is we go in here and we cut these little runners off down here. We don't want anything touching the dirt. None of the plant needs to touch the dirt. We go ahead and do the same thing in here to this one. Cut off all these lower little leaves coming off. Because if they touch the dirt, some of the bacteria from the dirt can actually cause your plant to get diseased.
Oh, that's good to know.
So we're just going to knock off all these little ones down there in the bottom. Put them in there. So by going north-south with these, you get the sun that comes over, and the shade is only going to be at noon. And even then, the sun's going to be up here, so they're still going to get a lot of sun. So I always try to put everything north-south.
Okay.
And second beefsteak, put it in there. So, in order to tell when to water these, what you do, you don't have to water every day. But you want to stick your finger in the dirt, and if you bring your fingers out and your fingers are damp, then you don't need to water.
Okay.
If the leaves start shriveling up and it starts drooping, then you know that it needs to get some water. These have just been wanting to get into the ground for a while, and they've been wanting some real summer, which we haven't had yet.
Okay.
All right, next plant. Let's go. Oh, thank you. So this is going to be your trellis for your beefsteaks. So now you got yourself a trellis for your beefsteaks. Yeah, it's sort of weak and flimsy. You might have to get something a little bit more sturdy than me, but we'll see how it does.
Okay.
Oh, didn't realize I had another jelly bean. Should have put that on the other side. Okay. move this jelly bean just a little bit. It ain't ready yet. There we go. Jelly bean there. And as you can see, if you see a leaf that doesn't look right,
Take it off.
just pinch it off.
Okay.
And this one you might want to keep for a runner, and then again you might not. But you'll get one of these that's a runner coming out that's just going to start going. There we go. Now you got one jelly bean on each side.
Awesome.
Garden candy.
I like candy.
You wouldn't say. All right. So, this is a Rio Grande cherry. This is a determinate tomato. And this is a Roma tomato, which are both determinants. So, what determinate is?
Not sure.
A determinate tomato is more of a bush. An indeterminate tomato is viney.
Okay.
So we're getting our bushes over here, we're getting your vines over there. So we're going to put a Rio Grande. This is one of the few determinate cherries. So Rio Grande. And it's going to be a nice bushy cherry here. You will need to stake it up. Because even though it's determinate, you got to stake it. Your Romas or your spaghetti saucers.
Okay.
And that thing definitely needs to go in the dirt. It's pretty much root bound. So these are a little close together. They should do just fine. Once again, I'm going to go and snip some of the lower leaves on this Roma. As you can see, we're getting little spots there. That one was from our frost that we had a little late.
Not working?
Just cut some of these lower suckers off because they suck the life out of the plant.
I wanted to move it back.
Now, this one is already starting to flower. One thing with the determinants, a lot of times when they flower, they're going to go and flower once, and you might get a second harvest out of them. The indeterminates, like the beefsteaks and the jelly beans over there, those will keep producing all year round.
Okay.
So you might get one or two big harvests out of the Romas, maybe three, but normally it's just in groups. So you grab them all up, make yourself some spaghetti sauce.
Okay. When they fully harvest, do you cut them down, or do you remove the whole, or do you take the whole thing out?
At the end of the year, you take the whole plant out.
Okay.
They won't overwinter. One thing to do when they start getting ripe is cut down on your watering. If you cut down on the watering, then they will ripen a lot faster.
Okay.
Doesn't mean starve them of water. You know, don't make them dehydrated, but just reduce the watering. Hopefully the summer starts pretty soon and we're all set.
These guys can just be pruned down, or do they get pulled out too?
Everything gets pulled.
Okay.
Now, right here, before I forget, this is fertilizer. This is some organic fertilizer. About once a month, you want to take a pinch and throw it down on the dirt next to it.
Okay.
Not too much. So, now we're going to put some companion plants out here. So these are companion plants to your tomatoes. This is cilantro.
Oh, okay.
You want to prune it often. You don't want it to go to flower. It's slow bolt cilantro. But if it goes to flower, here you go. If it goes to flower, then the plant's going to say, okay, I'm all done, and die for the year.
Okay.
So we're going to shove it in. And it's going to be in between your tomatoes. So now we got some cilantro going here.
I love it.
All right, so Greek basil is great for your spaghetti sauces. Genovese is great for your spaghetti sauces. Your Thai basil is great for your Asian mixes. You like black licorice?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go ahead and just hold on to this one right there. I'm going to go ahead and snip right there, so that way this and this will now pop out and become two more leaves. Take a bite out of that. Black licorice.
Yeah.
Go ahead and grab this one. We're going to go ahead and prune it again here. So now I got prunes. Now it's going to split out with a couple more leaves and a couple more shoots coming out. Remember, I am not a master gardener. I just like gardening a lot.
This does taste like black licorice.
Tastes just like black licorice.
That is weird.
So they like full sun, but I found if you put them between the tomato plants, they do really good.
Do you air dry these or can them?
You can air dry them, you can throw them in the freezer, you can dehydrate them, however you want to do it.
Okay.
So we're going to put these in. Adjust my camera a little bit. So I'm going to put the basils in right down here. Put the Greek one in. Sorry about the lawnmower in the background. So that's the Greek basil. Put the Genovese in here. Toss the Thai basil up front just a little bit. Next to the cucumbers, finally next to the cucumbers, I'm going to put some dill.
Awesome.
This is mammoth dill. The dill is going to grow about 4 feet tall.
Wow.
Make sure that you take any of the sprigs that start looking like flowers that are coming off. Once again, because you don't want to think that it's flowering, because when it's done flowering, it's done.
Gotcha.
So one more surprise. My signature peppers. So these aren't very hot because I know you don't like a lot of hot, but here is a Serrano. Nice Serrano pepper there. And this is an Anaheim chili. So we're going Anaheim chili and Serrano. You got everything you need to make yourself some good salsa.
Nice.
Some chives, and we got some thyme.
Nice.
So I got some thyme for some chives. So one thing with both chives and thyme is they will take over a pot. Don't put them in your raised beds. What you do with these, take them off, use them as spices, make some thyme tea out of it. Chives, chop them up into little pieces just like little onions.
That's awesome.
So
Thank you, sir.
put a little bit of mulch on these. What's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Ryan, so you got your garden going there. Just got to baby it and give some water, a little bit of love, a little bit of pruning, and you're all set.
Awesome.
So Hey, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Push that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Happy gardening, and have a great day.